Some people say masturbation is a perfectly natural behavior. Yet, to what degree is this true? How many times a day are you able to do it without being evaluated as someone who is addicted to it? What if you are unable to do so? In this video, we will address these concerns and explain why you should stop engaging in this behavior that seems to be normal but really conceals a trap for your life. Not only is masturbation a perfectly natural behavior in humans, but it is also seen in dogs and other species. This is a statement that is made pretty apparent by contemporary medical practice. This perception of typical masturbation, however, was not always the case. Because it stopped individuals from reproducing, masturbation was considered to be sinful in the past, particularly in males. This was due to the fact that it increased the creation of unproductive seeds. When it came to women, it was thought that masturbation may help them feel more independent and apart from males by allowing them to experience pleasure on their own without any assistance. In addition to this moral load, there was also a medical burden, which said that masturbation was a source of illnesses and that it was thus not recommended to engage in the activity at any time. However, let us go back to the here and now. Is there anything that we know about masturbation, particularly with regard to guys who suffer from insomnia? According to what is known, it is able to induce sleep. After an orgasmic experience, the male brain is shown to deactivate sexual desire, according to the findings of the French Institute of Health and Medical Research. When a man achieves climax, the cerebral cortex, which is the region of the brain that is responsible for conscious cognition, falls into a state of rest. Consequently, this not only eliminates the urge to continue engaging in sexual activities, but it also makes it easier to go asleep. This is the reason why many guys fall asleep after engaging in sexual activity. What exactly is the issue, though? What is the matter? As it turns out, a trap is concealed inside one of its advantages. You will be able to see what I am referring to if you are a regular viewer of this station. The release of dopamine in your brain occurs during masturbation. This hormone is responsible for making us feel better, offering peace, easing stress, lowering stress, and creating a feeling of satisfaction. They are all responsible for these effects. Dopamine is the chemical that causes this, and since it is so enjoyable, some individuals develop an addiction to it. A new disease known as hypersexuality disorder was included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders in the year 2017. Furthermore, this places excessive masturbation into the category of obsessive-compulsive disorder, which is another vice that may lead to the downfall of both the mind and the family. You will, in many instances, be unable to exercise control over yourself, and as a result, you will either become a slave to yourself or a victim of a lack of control. It is thus possible for a brain that is saturated with dopamine to experience pleasure in activities such as pursuing connections with prostitutes, engaging in sexual activity with several individuals, and, as we showed in a previous movie, engaging in excessive intake of pornography. Pay notice, the chemicals that are produced in the brain are the source of addiction to masturbation. As our brain adjusts to the release of these chemicals, it feels the urge to repeatedly locate the codes that cause the pleasure. Your brain will begin to want an increasing amount of dopamine in order to attain the same level of pleasure that it experienced the first time, which will force you to continually search for new methods to engage in masturbation over and over again. When your brain learns that the release of dopamine is excessive, it attempts to block receptors in an effort to stop you from doing what you are doing. This is when this phenomenon reaches an extreme extent. Because of this, the individual engages in the act of pleasure, which in this instance is masturbation, but they do not get any satisfaction, which makes them even more frustrated than they were before. A person who smokes without ever stopping, someone who consumes chocolate till they throw up, or even an alcoholic engages in excessive masturbation in order to satiate their need for pleasure. The question that you must be asking yourself at this time is, what does Stoicism have to do with this? The Stoic philosophers Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, who were renowned for their ability to exercise self-control and intelligence, came up with a novel approach to the subject of pleasure and passion. In their exploration of the depths of human impulses, they left behind a legacy that continues to enchant us. This heritage includes the words of Epicurus as well as the inner thoughts of Seneca. Stoics believed that masturbation was not only a means of achieving sensual fulfillment, but also a chance to investigate the boundaries between the body and the intellect. They regarded it as a route to genuine freedom, as well as an opportunity to improve their self-awareness. According to their philosophy, achieving control over the desires and pleasures of the world was a victory that exalted the spirit of the human being. Epicurus said that the quality that defines a virtuous man is not the virtue of self-control, but rather the virtue of love, of pleasure. When seen in this light, the capacity to experience pleasure while simultaneously comprehending and containing it is a distinguishing characteristic of an individual who has attained a greater degree of self-awareness. Seneca's philosophical stance serves to remind us that we should not allow ourselves to be forced to submit to our wants. Rather, we should take control of them. When it comes to masturbation, Stoic thought is not only about suppression, rather, it is about profound awareness and mastery of oneself. In other words, this means that we have the capacity to steer our feelings in the direction of a path of conscious exploring of ourselves. It lives not only in the brief happiness that we experience, but also in the comprehension, acceptance, and acceptance of our most profound tendencies. When seen from a Stoic point of view, every action has repercussions, not just for ourselves, but also for the natural order of the cosmos. The Stoics place a great priority on maintaining a harmonic relationship with nature. Nevertheless, when we give in to our most extreme urges, such as when we masturbate without any kind of control, we lose that connection. We end up becoming captives of our wants, and we move farther and further away from genuine inner peace. A flurry of emotions may be triggered inside us by compulsive masturbation, and these feelings might include feelings of guilt, humiliation, and discontent that are frequent companions. Through reflection and self-regulation, the Stoics instruct us on how to exercise control over our strong emotions. In order to learn how to regulate our emotions in a way that is both healthy and helpful, we must first face them deliberately. The Stoics, on the other hand, advise us to discover our own inner serenity. True contentment may be attained when we have mastered ourselves and are able to discover happiness in things that are uncomplicated and moral. I would like to offer a personal tale that I find to be motivating. I am familiar with a person who used to deal with obsessive masturbation. They would seek brief sanctuary and pleasure, but immediately after each act, they would be confronted with an emotional storm. This individual had a significant metamorphosis as a result of their immersion in Stoic principles and their practice of self-control and self-regulation. As a result of learning to deliberately address their impulses and feelings, they discovered that self-control brought them genuine delight. Since then, they have liberated themselves from the shackles of fleeting cravings and are now living a life of inner serenity and sincerity. When we live our lives in line with our most fundamental ideals and values, we experience genuine pleasure. We are able to lose sight of the things that are actually important to us in life when we give in to transitory wants. We may become estranged from our most virtuous goals and divert our attention away from the genuine joy that can be found in virtue and inner serenity if we engage in compulsive masturbation. It is possible to cultivate the mental tranquility that is necessary for us to avoid temptations and confront our emotions in a healthy manner if we engage in the practices of meditation and mindfulness. By pulling us into regrets and leading us away from the serene peace that may be found in self-control and moderation, this drive has the potential to become a barrier to mental tranquility, mental peace.